Hello everyone, my name is Danfei Hu and I'm a psychologist from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Today I'm excited to be here and talk about emotion destination in depression. So seeing this title, you are probably wondering, what is emotional destination? Let's just put that aside for a second and let's talk about physical destination. So this map is the East Coast of America, and let me share a story about physical destination that happened there. So my friend Shuzi and I, we got invited to a wedding in Boston, and we both need to be there after work. I, however, live in New York, and if you drive from New York to Boston, it's not that close. So I really need to put my foot on the gas pedal and drive hard. Shuzi, however, she lives in Rhode Island, so she can really just drive leisurely because Boston is not that far away from her. So the moral of the story is that when we're trying to reach a destination that is pretty far away from us, sometimes we need to do something more and work harder in order to get there. Not all destination is physical, and some destinations are psychological, such as the goals that we try to reach. And similar to traveling to a physical destination, in order for us to reach our psychological destination and to achieve our goals, we need to evaluate where we are, how far away we are from our current position to our desired position, and to invest effort and resources in order to be where we want to be. So the distance or the discrepancy between our current position and our desired position signal the need for change. And they tell us how much effort that we need to invest in order to be where we want to be. When the discrepancy is large, the need for regulation is stronger, and we should invest more effort in order to reduce that discrepancy so that we can move ourselves closer to where we want to be. And when the discrepancy is smaller, effort should be lower because we're pretty much already pretty close to where we want to be, and we can chill a little bit. So to illustrate this point, I'm going to use my favorite example, which is my dog's weight loss journey. So this is my dog, and as you guys can see, he's a little bit chubby, and the doctor recommends weight loss, so at least we can see a waistline. When there is a large discrepancy between his current weight and his desired weight, I'll work really hard to help him lose weight. I'll take him out for more exercise, and I'll also put him on a diet. But as his current weight moves closer to his desired weight, I don't need to work that hard anymore because 2 pounds, half kilo, not going to matter that much to his health. So if we were to plot the association between discrepancy and effort here, we should expect a positive association such that as discrepancy gets higher, we should work harder to reduce that. But what happens when there is a mismatch between discrepancy and effort? What happens when my dog is really overweight, but I don't try hard enough to help him? Or he's already pretty slim, but I'm still doing a lot to make him lose weight? So hold on to that question for a second. Now let's take the concept we just talked about physical and psychological destination to emotional destination. So emotional destination refers to the emotions that we want to experience, such as feeling happier or less sad. And similarly, how we want to feel and how we actually feel, and the discrepancy between the two can inform us how hard we want to try in order to regulate our emotion. So for instance, Shuzi and I, we both want to show up super happy at the party to celebrate our friends, because we're good friends. But however, I just had a long day at work because my favorite paper got rejected. I hope you guys find that relevant. And I'm not feeling good at all, right? And I do want to change that because I want to be there for my friends. So there are a couple things I could do. I could try to put a positive spin on the situation. Maybe this is a good opportunity for me to improve my work so I can do better science. Or I can distract myself from the rejection by thinking, there's a funny podcast I could listen to on my drive to Boston. Shuzi, however, she had a fabulous day at work, so she doesn't need to do much emotionally because she's already feeling pretty good. But what happens when the amount of effort we invest in our emotion regulation does not match our regulatory needs? So this is the research question that I'm trying to address, and I want to understand, are people capable of flexibly adjusting their effort investment in their emotion regulation? And if it goes awry, can that help us understand something about depression? So if this is the pattern that we would expect from psychologically healthy or non-depressed individual, from individual who in general lives a healthy emotional life and are capable of managing their emotions, what can we expect from those who are depressed? From individuals who often experience tremendous difficulties in their emotion regulation. So the current literature in emotion regulation presents two possibilities. On the one hand, depressed individuals might generally just lack effort investment in their emotion regulation because they're depressed. It's hard for them to get things going, and they might also lack the proper resources to do so. So if that were the case, then we might see a pattern like this, where for non-depressed individual, effort varies as a function of discrepancy, but for people who suffer from depression, they overall just do not put much effort to manage their emotion. An alternative account suggests that depressed individuals actually, they work really hard to regulate themselves. Because people who struggle with their emotion regulation, they often tend to overestimate how much energy and resources it might take for them to successfully change their feelings. So if this is true, then we might see this hyper mode of effort investment among depressed individuals, where how hard they work to regulate themselves not only is consistently high, but is also insensitive to the size of the discrepancy. So which one is true? In order to answer this question, I really want to study emotion regulation in everyday life. Traditionally, a lot of research in emotion regulation has been conducted in the lab. While there are a lot of merits of laboratory studies, how we feel and how we control our emotion in such a confined setting is very different from what's going to happen in everyday life. Therefore, to really go beyond the laboratory setting and to understand how people control their emotions on a day-to-day basis, I use a method called experience sampling, which allows participants to provide data in real time in their natural setting by using their smartphones. So in the data I'm about to show you, we track participants for an extensive amount of time. And we ask them multiple times every day, what is the emotion that you want to feel? And how do you actually feel? And then we objectively calculated the discrepancy between their desired and experienced emotion. And we also asked them, so how hard did you try to change your emotion? So using the data for happiness as an example here, on the x-axis, we have discrepancy between desired and experienced emotion. On the y-axis, we have effort invested to increase happiness. Let's look at healthy individual first. So for people who are in generally psychologically healthy, we see a pattern as we expected, such that as discrepancy becomes larger, effort becomes higher. What about those who are depressed? Holding you guys in suspense, but this, as a reminder, this is the two patterns that we were testing, and this is what we found. So data provides support for the second account, where we see that depressed individuals, their effort investment in emotion regulation is insensitive to the size of the discrepancy between their desired and experienced emotion. In other words, they always work too hard to regulate, even when they don't need to. I also want to add that we have seen this exact same pattern with the regulation of negative emotion, and we have replicated this pattern across multiple studies and from samples that we collected from different places. But why is this important? So back to the driving metaphor, right? Imagine when you're driving, and if you always stick your foot to the gas pedal when you don't need to, you might miss your destination. You might also burn more fuel and burn more gas, and potentially leads to fuel burnout. And more importantly, crashes can happen if you don't let go. So similarly, inflexible effort investment in emotion regulation can exhaust more regulatory resources and even leads to regulation failure. Therefore, maybe that's the exact reason why depressed individuals always feel so depleted, because they're using too much of their resources. So instead of telling them, you should work hard to control emotions, maybe we should encourage them to lay off the pedal a little bit and to really take the time to recover and rebuild their resources. And with that, I want to shout out to my lab and the funding institution